Yet so much to be proud of across the tournament and in the game. Just fell a little bit short. Let's get the analysis. Natalie Pike, joined by Karen Bardsley and Nadia Manua back in the studio.
Absolutely gutted. Welcome back to Match Day Live. So City have been pipped at the post by Chelsea. Congratulations to Chelsea, who make their 5th League Cup, their 5th Conti Cup final in a row. But oh, that was heartbreaking at the end. I'm still joined in the studio by Karen and by Nedum. Somebody asked in our pre-match show in one of our WhatsApp questions if we wished there was VAR in women's football. Oh, I wish there was VAR in women's football right now, because I'm telling you, if there was VAR, that was a penalty.
You forgot the Alexandria possible handball as well.
I didn't see that one yet.
You know what I mean? You can have it both ways if you want to, yeah. But I think Mike described it well. He said it's a frustrating day for them. I think in the second half, I thought they played a lot better than they did the first. I thought they had Chelsea on the ropes as such. But what use is that if you don't take your opportunities? And I think there'll be 1 or 2 moments which they probably wish they could have had back. Because for them to sort of, at times, dominate Chelsea in the way that they did, and to come away having not scored a goal, that would be hugely disappointing for them. And, the fans turned out. That was a big opportunity to get to a final, to be 1 game away from silverware. But unfortunately, this is the way football goes, and, you don't always have your day if you think you deserve it.
And to have that psychological element over Chelsea again, that they hadn't beaten us this year?
You know what? I think that would matter more from the outside, but if I was one of those players now, I think I'd appreciate the fact that you've outplayed them. I think you've seen Chelsea for who they are. Like, you've shown them that, and it's because of some of the good play that you've done. Obviously, Chelsea could, in theory, work on tweak a few things and get better. But in reality, like, the team that could... I think Mike said they're on for, like, a treble or whatever. But they're no better than you. Yeah, the quad. They're no better than you. So I think even though you take the disappointment and you have to ride it, like, maybe it's more so motivation for the games ahead. Because as you see whatever they're doing, you're capable of doing the same at least.
I mean, statistically, 64% of the possession for City overall, 10 shots on target, so 9 shots in the second half, just 2 shots for Chelsea. What was your assessment of the second half, Karen?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to follow up, Nedum, because you said everything so...
I'm sorry, I need to stop doing that.
Eloquently and succinctly.
I'll tell half a story next time.
No, it's good. I appreciate it. I mean, that's why you're up for an award. But no, I think credit to Chelsea, as you say, and credit to Hannah Hampton for, making the saves. I think Chelsea defended well, in terms of making it difficult for City to kind of find their rhythm, and they forced them into really difficult areas statistically to get a good quality shot on target. So I think from a goalkeeping perspective, it makes the game a lot more predictable. You can put yourself in more efficient angles and positions to kind of prevent any sort of second balls or anything dangerous. But like, we did have chances. To your point around the statistics, it just, for me, was missing that final third composure that we're kind of used to seeing. There were a lot of decisions toward the end there around maybe passing when we could have, shot when we could have passed, or vice versa. And it became a bit more maybe individual than what we're used to seeing. So there'll be lots of positives to take away from the game in terms of like reflection points and, putting it right at the weekend. But for me, I think if just from look at the faces on the girls, they'll be massively disappointed to be, out of the cup. But I think they will have known that they could have performed a little bit better, if I'm being completely honest.
I mean, they went for it as well. Gareth with his substitutions. He took off Iwabi, he brought on Mary Fowler. There was some big chances, a couple of chances for Hemp, a couple of chances for Shaw, some free kicks towards the end. So the opportunities were there. Yeah,
they absolutely were there. But in fairness, I need to take my City half just for a split second. And right at the end, like, Chelsea are clearing stuff off the line. You can only do that if you put someone into position. And they played like a team. That's something to hold on to. They knew that they were on the ropes, but they still found a way to essentially get through it, with Hannah Hampton and other people as well. But I think I like the fact that you go for it. Like, the clock is ticking. There's no second leg. There's no second opportunity. You have to go out there and try and do something. And I think maybe the team could have been more progressive in the first half, perhaps. But the fact is, they did give it their all. And, we love football so much. But then there's this other side where you feel you deserve more from something and you get nothing from it. But if you have this as a lesson, maybe one day you could be like that Death Star, like we spoke about, that Chelsea end up being.
Yeah. In terms of those kind of controversial things that happened in the second half, because there was a few, there was the Alexandri possible handball.
Yeah.
What are we thinking?
I'll be honest, I was more focused on that penalty toward the end there. And there were a couple of shouts from Lauren James around Alex Greenwood, but for me, yeah, not being able to see that potential penalty is a bit frustrating, because I think when it happened in real time, you kind of like, as a City supporter, you're kind of like, yeah, it's definitely a pen. You'd love to have it back, but it's gone now. So there's nothing we can really do. Just kind of just accept it and kind of move on.
I'm not good at accepting things, Karen. Have you
I'm not either, but you have to learn that.
Take your City hat off for a minute. Do you think it was a penalty?
From the angles that we saw, I couldn't really see it, to be honest. No, I couldn't. And let's be honest, I really wanted to.
Yeah.
I was desperate to see it, so I could just, like, you know, lose my mind and go and complain to whoever needs to be complained to. But I didn't necessarily see it, and I think after the incident as well, they actually had a shot. And I think from when you have a shot, you can't then go back and say, well, the advantage didn't count because you had the opportunity to score anyway. Mm-hmm. So I think even if it was a foul, I think the referees probably ended up doing the right thing anyway.
It was a penalty. It was a penalty.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
It was a penalty. I might have a City hat.
And they scored as well. And they scored it, so it was 1-1.
And definitely. It's ridiculous.
We actually won.
Yeah.
There's only a few days for City to take the opportunity to bounce back. It's a cup again on Sunday. It is the Women's FA Cup this weekend. It is the quarter-final. City take on Spurs. It's away at Spurs. City seem to draw a lot of games in the Cups away in London. You'll also get full match commentary for that as well. So it's a 3 p.m. kick-off. I mean, Sunday is an extremely busy day for this football club. So away trip, FA Cup quarter-final, couple of days to bounce back. Do you like that? Do you like it when you just got a few days after a defeat?
You want to put it right, absolutely, straight away. You're just like, you're fuming until you get the next opportunity to be out on the pitch, and then put it right in training. So, you know, I'd like to think that Spurs are going to have their hands full the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of favourites going into that, we will be favourites going into that, but we have had some tricky games in London, specifically in cup competitions as well. So what are you thinking ahead of that game on Sunday?
What am I thinking? I suppose you need to look at today's game and try and learn lessons from it, but then also the most important thing is to recover. You know, you're so late into the season that, like, recovery is such a huge part of it, and everyone's going to be tired, but don't sort of dwell on it too much and start to prepare for the next thing. You can't go back and, you know, give that penalty or make that different decision. But ultimately, they're still one of the form sides in the league, one of the form sides in Europe and in world football. So I'm a believer that they'll be fine. And as you mentioned before the show, Gareth is very, very level with how he perceives things. And he might be disappointed about certain elements, but he's probably not going to show that to his team. So they know that when they go into work tomorrow or on the, what day is it today, Thursday? Or Saturday?
No, I did that a minute ago. It's Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, it's Thursday.
Yeah.
Forgot.
Wild. I don't usually work on Thursdays. But yeah, from when that happens, like, they'll be ready to go and they'll know it'll be a tough game. But when you expect it, then, you know, you can't be surprised, can you?
We know that Gareth likes to keep a very steady starting 11, but given it is this point in the season and it's Thursday, the game is on Sunday, are you expecting a similar starting 11 to tonight, or are you?
Bless you.
Bless you, I'm sorry.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really rotate his squad that much, does he? So I can imagine maybe there'll be a few just based on minutes, you know, and potentially because it's a cup game as well, you might get that in. But ultimately for me, they're going to want to go out and win the game, you know, most importantly. So, you know, like we saw, you know, Philip Ingelall come on. Will we see a bit more changes in the midfield? Will we see... Probably not. I don't think we're going to see that many changes, to be honest. Yeah,
I think it just comes down to health at this point, to be honest. As you look at Chiara with the strapping on her knee, maybe that's something that needs to be looked at. But it didn't look like anybody had to come off because they were struggling. So, you know, it has been 90 minutes. They will recover and so on. But if they're available, I'm sure they're the players that, at this moment in time, you trust the most will be out there come Sunday.
How do you feel about that? I mean, in terms of the fact that he does seem to have this very solid starting 11 that he likes. I mean, because obviously if we look at the men's game, we see the continual rotation between the players. We saw how many were changed in the Champions League game. You never know which 11 is going to start in the men's team. So how do you feel about this set 11 for the women's team?
I think for me, it depends which sort of perspective you're looking at it from. If you're a player that's playing every week, like, you probably couldn't be happier. If you're somebody that's on the outside of things, you're hoping for an opportunity. And if he believes that it's going to be fair, whereby if you go in and you play well, then you get a chance to keep it, then great. But it is it's an interesting situation, that one. And I think the voices of the people who aren't playing are very rarely heard. But again, like, this is the team that he trusts. And whilst the manager goes and gives you that confidence to know you're going to be out there, you've got a chance to go and play some of your better games. And the squad, there'll be players who are on the bench, you know, you're looking at Steph Haaland's, looking at, like, Esme Morgan's, you know, so many players who are really good and are capable of starting. But you can't start them all, can you? And while the manager's in this mindset, this is what it is, you can't change it. But the only thing you can do is make it worse for yourself if you let your standards drop. If you show real significant disappointment that is detrimental to the team, because you never know. Look at last season from the men's team. All the big games, you saw the same players, all the same ones. But then come Champions League final, who comes on? Phil Foden comes on for Kevin De Bruyne. Like, talk about, like, if you weren't ready for that, how big a moment that could have been in the other direction. I think if the players stay ready, they could still have a huge impact in this season.
Yeah. How about from when you've been sort of inside a squad, how has that impacted for the people that are sort of on the bench and kind of knowing that the starting 11 is fairly firm?
Yeah, if it's a settled starting 11, I think you can kind of accept it, because you know, like, if the results are going well, you're kind of like, all right, well, you know, we're winning, so it's hard to argue. And then, you know, to Nedim's point, you just kind of have to trust that your opportunity and that your moment will come, and you have to be ready. So you kind of live in that mindset of always being ready, and, oh, maybe this time, and maybe this time, and then you're a little bit disappointed, but then, oh, maybe next time, you know. So you always have to find, like, a way to kind of stay positive about whatever your contribution is. So even if it's not on the pitch, like, you were still, you know, a supportive teammate, you're a good friend, you're helping the person who's playing prepare, or whatever that looks like. So you feel at least you're contributing to the overall performance of the squad. But yeah, of course you're disappointed if you're not getting regular minutes, but
yeah,
it's about opportunities.
What I would say about that as well is that is actually incredibly tough. You know, when you say, this is my mindset, this is what it's going to be, it's great for the first game, second game, third game, when it's like a long period of time. Like, it is a real test, because for some now, when you drive to the stadium thinking you're not going to play, but it's still taking you the whole day to prepare for it, that's tough to overcome.
It's so hard.
It really is. And then when the game's over and the team's lost, so there's a low, you've not played, there's a low, and you start to think of, like, the only thing that you're there for is to train the next day. That can be really, really tough. But again, this is when you as a professional, you get tested to the absolute maximum. And as long as you find a way to sort of keep your standards, you'll have opportunity.
Fascinating. Thank you so much. I love getting those little bits of insight that we don't get anywhere else. Right, we are able now to go over live to our manager, Gareth Taylor.
Gareth, no two ways about it. That's a really tough one to take, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, particularly for how we dominated the game. Thought that girls were superb in so many things, in so many ways. Of course, we couldn't quite find the breakthrough tonight, which was a bit disappointing, and we gave them a cheap goal. But, yeah, the way we played, I spoke to the girls at half-time and said, you know, we've been super impressive. There's some things we need to kind of work on, and I thought the work-ons that we added into the second half was top. You know, their goalkeeper was the best player for them. You know, we're a little bit aggrieved with the amount of time that was added on, particularly when you look at these games previously and what we had to do 2 weeks ago and played nearly 13 minutes of added time. And then obviously the penalty as well, you know, it's a stonewaller at the end, and very disappointing to come out on the other side of that decision.
Yeah, just talking about that penalty decision, have you had a chance to look back at it? And I assume it looked like
I thought it was a penalty
contact
at the time, but sometimes you need it confirmed, and yeah, anyone looking at that would just see that Cuthbert has made the challenge, caught Alex 2 yards into the box and right in front of the referee, so I'm just really surprised it's not been given.
Yeah, really frustrating. But as you say, especially in that second half, we were the team on the ascendancy and so on. So it's not really a positive to take, but also maybe 5-10 minutes more in that game, we'd be going into extra time and maybe going beyond there as well. So something to look at. I actually
think it is a positive. That second half performance is one of the best performances I think we've given. You know, of course, we have other games where we'll open up and go 3-4 goals, but yeah, that is the way I want us to play, and I think that's one of the real positives. I said to the girls afterwards, and we dust ourselves off now. We get ready for the FA Cup next competition, and we do our very best to win that. And we play like we did in this game tonight, we'll have a really good chance.
Yeah, you mentioned that FA Cup game, almost a blessing that we've got another game in quick succession to kind of dust the cobwebs off and hopefully get a result back on track.
Yeah, of course, yeah. It's nothing like having a game straight away, and we look forward to that. We get off on our travels, we make sure the girls recover properly, and look forward to the next step.
Thanks for your time, Gareth.
Cheers, George.
That was our manager, Gareth Taylor, speaking to George Kelsey there. You can see that he's disappointed, but of course also proud of his team's performance this evening. So we have Tottenham on Sunday in the quarter-final of the FA Cup, 3 p.m. kickoff. And then in a couple of weeks, we have another big game. I'm so excited for this one. I love the Joy Stadium, but I love it when we take it over to the Etihad Stadium as well. And we have the Manchester Derby, Saturday, the 23rd of March, a 12:30 p.m. kickoff. There's still some tickets available available. If you're not coming and you can, please come and support the team. I want to see an unbelievable, we all want a bumper crowd inside the Etihad. It's the international break of the men's team as well, so it's a perfect opportunity to come along. Now, we spoke to Laia and to Leila about the derby, and this is what they had to say ahead of it.
No, Leila.
Here's Uahabi. Uahabi's ball in is inviting. Thumping header after a fabulous ball in from Leila Uahabi. They've not cleared it. And there is Leia Alexandri to stab in for City.
Soy Leia Alexandri.
Yo Leila Uahabi.
Y esto es el Walk and Talk.
Bueno, sigue.
¡Oye, récord! ¡Sigue! That was good, ¿eh? Derby en el Etihad ya dentro de poco, ¿eh?
Muchas ganas para el...
La verdad es que tenemos ganas. Yo creo que veo al equipo con muchas ganas.
Sí,
el Etihad es bonito, ¿eh? Jugar allí con todos los fans yo creo que va a estar muy bien.
Ojalá se llene el estadio y haya buen ambiente.
Sí, con muchas ganas, la verdad.
Sí. Bless you.
They're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it. The atmosphere is going to be absolutely incredible. So City take on Manchester United Saturday the 23rd. So City obviously currently sitting in second on goal difference, 37 points, the same as Chelsea. Manchester United 12 points behind City in fourth. That was 12 points behind City. Just wanted to get that in.
You got it in. You definitely got it in.
Thank you. Matchday Live will be pitch side at the Etihad Stadium, of course, for the Manchester derby. So excited about that. Of course, we've had two great results against United this season already, Karen.
Yeah, we have, and we touched on how nice it was to go to Old Trafford and beat them there. That was such an outstanding performance, and I hope, obviously we bring that level to the Etihad in a couple of weeks' time. So it's the game that everyone wants to be in, I unfortunately didn't get to play in many of them during my career, but it's always an amazing atmosphere. The girls are always well up for it. Like, it's really open and inviting as well. Like, everyone's, sitting shoulder to shoulder with everyone there, but there's still like a really competitive feel, and it's getting more and more heated. So I think there's a little bit of something for everyone, but ultimately, at the end of the day, we're in so much better form than United are, and so that's what it's going to come down to, isn't it?
Mm.
It's to think how good they were last season, and I mean, obviously they're still fourth in the league, but a massive drop-off in terms of where they were. They pushed Chelsea all the way to the end of the season last year. Yeah. Was it a lucky season last year, or is this season a drop-off? I don't want to say bad, because they're still fourth in the league, but...
You've said bad. It exists. It's in the world. I think they've had some changes. I think they've lost some coaching staff and lost some key players as well. So I think that has made a difference. I think Russo going, I think Bache going as well. Have there been any more? I think they've probably lost a couple more. And I think that can make a big difference in that league, because these are some of your key players. And I think, as I say, Skinner had lost a couple of coaching staff as well to go and do jobs elsewhere. And you realise that in this division, if you go on a bad run for like a month or something, you're out of it. It's not a case of, we'll just find time. They don't play enough games to be able to do that. So I'm sure from that red side of things, they'll be hugely disappointed. But ultimately, from a blue side of things, how long may it continue? It's definitely a sentiment that I share around the men's team, women's team, kids' team, like tic-tac-toe team, whatever it needs to be. I'm distinctly blue, and I felt very privileged. Well, not privileged. I went to the game last year at the Etihad, brought my family, my wife, my kids, my friends came as well with their kids, and it was great. And what I loved about it was they went down, but they came back. It was a great atmosphere. And then when we went to Old Trafford this year and watched City win there from behind, I remember when they were trying to ply us with the information about the attendance, and it was, that's so good. That's the second biggest crowd for a derby, but it's United's biggest ever for a derby. I was like, it's interesting. This big old stadium, but somehow it's still less than the amount of people that came to watch City the year before. And hopefully there'll be even more turn up this time at the Etihad, and it can really put United to bed for the season. That would be fantastic for me.
Very good, isn't he? He's very good.
I'm politely being really aggressive, yeah.
Politely being so rude.
Super rude and aggressive,
brilliant.
yeah.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Playing at the Etihad is special. We love the Joy Stadium. We love it. It's our home. But getting to go over to the Etihad, how important is that for the team, for the growth of the team, for the growth of the game?
Yeah, it's a funny one because you're right. There is something special about the Joy Stadium. It's our home. But in terms of like as the interest in the women's game is growing, we really want to share that with everyone, and we really want to show what it is that Manchester City women can do. And obviously having a capacity crowd like that and being able to get as many bums in seats to kind of like showcase what we've built over the last decade, feels really important. But it's also massive for the players to kind of have that atmosphere because it gives you an extra gear, doesn't it? And especially in a derby, it always feels really nice to kind of feel like you've got a 12th player in the stands pulling for you regardless of what's going on. It just makes it a bit more of a special environment and a more intimidating one for the opposition.
And that intimidation factor, I think that's what's key to me, because when I went to the game last year at the Etihad and when I went to the one at Old Trafford, I really thought about how significant the crowd was, and I realised that, say, from my side of things, from the men's game, most people never play in front of a crowd that big. Playing in front of 20, 30, 40,000 people is a privilege. And we see it in the Premier League a lot, but most players don't play in the Premier League. They play elsewhere and they play in front of different numbers. So whoever walks out on that field with 30, 40,000 people there, that's like a huge moment. And when they're all there to support you, that's one of the best moments you can have within football, whether you're a man, woman, kid, whoever. Like, when I was younger, I used to love playing at Main Road in the Youth Cup, for example, because all of a sudden you've got like 10, 15, 20,000 people there. Genuinely amazing feeling. Hopefully everyone turns up, and it's a great day for those City players. It's one that they'll always remember.
It's so fun. Yeah, it's so fun to be a part of.
Love that so much. So yes, if you don't have your ticket yet, there is still some available for the 23rd of March. City taking on United at the Etihad Stadium. You heard what it means. Get down, support the women. One city, and I agree with Nedham. Don't care which City team's playing United. It could be the under-8s. I just want them to win. It could be a staff team versus United, and I want them to win. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. Thank you, Nedham. Thank you very much, Karen. Thank you so much. It wasn't to be for City this year for the final of the Continental Cup. They were beaten by Chelsea 1-0. But we go again on Sundays. We take on Spurs in the FA Cup quarter-finals. A 3 p.m. kickoff for the women, a 3:45 p.m. kickoff for the men, who take on Liverpool at Anfield. Matchday Live will be across both the games. I am here in the studio joined by the wonderful Izzy Christiansen and by Jolien Lescott. That is going to be fun. We're sending Paul Dickoff to the Waldorf. Yes, we are. There is a Dickoff party happening at the Waldorf, and we're sending Michael Brown and Alistair Mann to Anfield. So we'll be across everything on Sunday, so do join us for Match Day Live. Thank you again. Thank you so much for being here with us. It might not be a treble for the women this year, but we're still in for the FA Cup and we're still in for the WSL. So we're going to finish today's show by just giving you another sneak preview of the wonderful Treble Together documentary that's going to be coming out on the 2nd of April on Netflix. We'll see you on Sunday.
If we win the treble, yeah, what are you going to do with that? Surely you've got to go Netflix.
There is one treble. Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup.
Together, guys. Do it together.
This documentary is going to be the best ever.
Now we're talking.
He doesn't know her dad's chap Grealish.
This is what the people have to realise, that today I'm the king.
You're right, Gunda. You need to wrestle.
This is those.
Just another day at the office.
That's fine. Are we going to do it again?
I mean, are they unstoppable this season?
It's tough, the Premier League. It's unforgiving. You have to work and fight for every single point you get.
It's so easy to look far ahead. And that's the one thing that can get you killed.
Are City title contenders once again? The questions were starting to be raised.
Manchester City's lead has been obliterated.
We want to win this Premier League. We have to play like this.
You think it's normal? Today we are done. For the guys who travel to follow us to perform in this way? Wow.
They're in a proper title race here.
If we focus on ourselves, we can beat them all. And we want to do it again. And that's when we get big.
I think we can go all the way.
I want my Warriors.
If you come for the king, you best not miss.
The biggest prize in club football is still the Champions League.
That was a little bit special.
He's got to turn Man City into a team that conquers Europe. That has to happen.
We're all going to Istanbul!
One more next week.
You know, tomorrow we play for the immortality.
Will it be a treble
or a seismic shock.
It's once in a lifetime, guys. This situation, we are not going to leave it again.